Hello, heading to my mat. Some particular props today. Here they are. I'm looking for my straps. So strap doesn't need to be an actual strap, but something you can use in that fashion, like one of those exercise bands work really well, or a dog leash or a tie. An actual belt, that would work well too. So if you need to take a minute, pause the video, go grab a strap. And I think I'd like us to start out with legs up the wall to kind of prep the body for what we're going to do. So if you have wall space, get your mat close to wall space. Other things in a restorative practice, I always like you to have pillows and blankets, blocks if you have them at home. So let's take legs up the wall. If you don't have a wall, use a piece of furniture. You can just drape your legs over the back of a chair or a couch, and it really does pretty much the same work. We'll set our strap, our pillows, and all that other stuff off to a side to start out. I like to, when I'm taking legs up the wall, I like to give my lumbar spine a little bit of support. So I have this folded blanket. I'm going to slide underneath my low back once I get there. It's easier to kind of roll into legs up the wall, kind of shimmy your hips towards your prop, and then press your feet into that space, lift your hips up, and slide, if you're going to use a prop, underneath the low back. Okay, so legs can be straight or knees can be bent. Let's take about 3 minutes here to settle in, to draw the awareness to the breath, to check in with that energy level. So if you've been kind of moving throughout your day nonstop, there might be some of that frenetic vata-like energy moving through the body. Just check in. If it feels accessible, here you can close the eyes. Notice how you're holding your arms or your hands, and position your hands in a way that is comfortable. Maybe that means connecting the hands to the body, like the ribs or the low belly or the heart. This is particularly helpful for grounding and tapping into parasympathetic nervous system. If you want something different, like if you're feeling kind of lethargic today, feeling super heavy, energetically stretching the arms out wide, opening the chest, palms facing the ceiling is an invitation to receive whatever it is you need to receive. So as we find stillness in the body, it's very normal for the mind to be quite active, especially if you've been going lately and you haven't given your chance the opportunity to become still. It's normal for the mind to start to really chatter. And that is the function of the mind. It's doing its job. So here's a practice, this restorative practice or the practice of yoga, that helps us cultivate this discernment to acknowledge what thoughts are helpful, what thoughts are not helpful, when we're caught in this pattern of an unhelpful thought process. Can we acknowledge that and simply bring our awareness to our breath? And I say simple, but I don't mean easy. It's not an easy thing to do. It is a practice for a reason. All right, so we're gonna, well, if you ever find yourself in a position where you're like, oh, I just want to stay in this shape for the whole practice, that's always an option. So if you're in legs up the wall and you're enjoying it and just being peaceful there, feel free to stay. But if you'd like to move into a different shape, we'll move out of legs up the wall. You can just roll off to a side. Scoot yourself away from the wall. And then we'll lengthen out on our mat, and we'll need our props close by. So we'll need our straps, our blankets, and our pillows. So it'll be kind of a progression. So we'll work with the legs. We're gonna work with some twisting. To set yourself up, I'd like you to take a pillow or two or a stack of blankets. Like you can see my bolster here is off to the left side of my mat. It's like almost in line with my left hip. And then I'm just gonna lay down, stretch out, and I have my strap in my hand. I'm gonna bend my knees, plant my feet, and then loop the right foot into the strap. Okay, and so I'm just gonna start off by taking that strap around the ball mound of the foot, and then soften the grip. You can do something like wrap that strap around the knuckles so that you can let your hands be relaxed and elbows bend alongside the body. You can kind of point and flex into the right foot. Now it might be that the hips and the low back and the glutes and everything like that are fairly mobile, so you could stretch out the left leg, but that kind of moves your hips out of alignment or is just too much for any reason. Just rebend that left knee. Okay, so you can play with that volume control. Let's pause here, just letting the arms be heavy, letting the toes kind of relax. They're like semi-flexed towards the face, but not active. And we'll just breathe here into the back of the right leg, wherever you're feeling sensation. So you might notice that. Where are you feeling sensation? Chances are that place in the body is where you are tightest, right? Like where the tissues are most tense. If you stay with that, and you stay with the breath, you might notice that sensation shifts or moves to a different place in the body. Or maybe even it disappears altogether. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. All right, now we're going to take both ends of the strap into your left hand. And then you're going to sweep your right arm off to the right side. You can bend the elbow or you can just stretch it out long. It's your choice, but try to stay anchored through that right shoulder, that right arm. And then we'll let the leg fall across the body towards the left where you have set up your props. And so if you need to adjust your props so that the inner edge of the leg gets to rest on top of that stack of whatever it is, adjust it. And maybe you need to add more height, like more props underneath the inner right leg. Maybe you need to bend both knees. That's okay too. Right, so you get to roll all the way onto the left hip. That right hip is stacking on top. You're in a supported twist. You might choose to keep the neck neutral, gazing up towards the ceiling. And we'll be here on this side for about 3 minutes. Just do your best now. So I've let go of the strap out of my left hand, so both my arms are just kind of stretching. This bolster is the right height for me, so I can let my legs relax and just kind of drop into this glute opener IT band stretch, this twist for the spine. And if that's not happening for you, that's okay, but please feel free to adjust, add props, or modify so that you do get to relax and find stillness. So I invite you, if you haven't already, to close the eyes, let yourself be still, seeking that internal connection to self, to source, whatever that means to you. To me, it means being able to assess and check in, how am I feeling? Are my needs being met? Like, for example, am I warm enough? Am I comfortable? Am I safe? Am I breathing? And the ability to self-regulate, very much a part of our restorative practice. Take one more breath here. And then to get out of this, you can just simply come onto your back, but you might try taking both hands to the strap, pressing the foot into the strap so you get a little bit of resistance as you rotate that right foot back up towards the ceiling. And then you just kind of pause there for a moment. I like this transition because I feel like it seats my femur bone back into the hip socket, right? And then I'm going to release that right foot, let it extend long, and just pause. Pausing in between sides, we get to assess, acknowledge right side of the body. How does it feel? And then assess, acknowledge left side of the body. Maybe there's like a comparison, a contrast comparison there. It's not a judgment of what's good or bad. It's an acknowledgement of what is. Oh, isn't that interesting? Interesting. My right side feels longer, or like it's being flushed out, or like it's energized, and my left side feels a little stagnant. So we become aware of these differences in the body. All right, so before we head into our second side, let's move whatever prop we were using on towards our left hip off to the right hip. Okay, and then we'll start by bending the knees and then looping up that left foot into the strap. And just kind of finding a comfortable place for your arms, a comfortable grip, not too tight. You might double wrap around the knuckles. Begin to kind of point and flex. So strap is around the palm end of the left foot. Point and flex the ankle. Just get some energy flow through the left leg. And then if it feels appropriate, you might extend that right leg out long. What does that do to the back of the left leg? Does that feel sustainable? Can you breathe with it? Or is it too much? Do you need to rebend right knee? Let's pause and find that static hold. Toes are rather relaxed. There's a slight flexion in that left foot. Arms are relaxed. Grip is soft if you're able. Make that connection to your breath. So we'll start to head off into our twist. So both ends of the strap into your right hand. And then left arm gets to sweep off to the left side. And left leg starts to move across the body until you're on your right hip. Your left hip is kind of stacking on top, and that inner left leg gets to relax on your prop. Or you're adding more support to make that accessible. Remember, you have the choices of bending the knees or keeping the legs kind of straight. They don't have to be totally straight. You get to decide that. I'll set us a timer here for 3 minutes. If you're able, can you relax your arms? How's your left shoulder doing? Can you relax it? Back of the head, the neck, kind of just assess. And then maybe the eyes close. If you haven't already, you make that connection to the internal awareness, that introspection. Notice your breath here. Quality of the breath, the texture of the breath. You might even notice the thoughts, the quality of the thoughts. Does that relate to your breath pattern? One more full breath cycle in your twist. And then you get to choose how you want to release out of this, but go slow and mindful. And if you would like to, you could try that. Grabbing hold of the strap again. And with both hands, you're holding onto the strap, pressing the foot into the strap. Bring it back up towards the ceiling. You can roll onto the back of your pelvis. And then you might feel that seat of the femur bone back into the hip socket for a moment. Breathe in. Breathing out, release the strap. You can extend that left leg long. And again, can you pause here? Pausing on the back. Drawing the awareness to the left side body. How does it feel now? So for our last shape, I'd like it to be a back bend to counteract all of that forward flexion with the hips we've done today, so that we balance out nervous system and we balance out physical body. So I'm going to give you two choices. Number one, you can, from your back, bend your knees, plant your feet, lift your hips up, and slide that prop system that you were just resting your inner leg on underneath the pelvis. And so you'd be like in a supported bridge. You can stay here or stretch your legs forward. Now that might be too much on the low back or the hips, in which case rebend the knees, plant the feet. So this is option number one for your back bend. And then option number two, this is not going to work for you if it's not going to be sustainable. Maybe you come onto the belly into Sphinx pose. Another great way to again counteract the forward flexion of the hips. So in Sphinx pose, you can simply come onto the forearms, lengthen the legs out behind you. You can rest a prop underneath your forehead, like blocks or stacked books. You can always walk the elbows forward to decrease sensation in the back if that's necessary. So whatever back bend you're choosing, start to settle in. We'll let this be a little bit shorter. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. All right, so to release out of our back bend, if you're in Sphinx on your belly, palms underneath the shoulders, you can move back towards child's pose. If you're coming from your back body with that prop underneath the pelvis, release it off to the side, and then you can hug your knees into your chest for Apanasana. It's the same position, it's just a matter of which direction the body is facing. The body is either facing down or the body is facing the ceiling. And from that position, lengthen out into perhaps Shavasana on the back. As always, if that's not comfortable for you, if you prefer to take Shavasana in an upright seated meditation, that's actually what I'm going to do today. So you can join me, or you can take legs at the wall, the same way we started. Really let it be your own, and let it be a conscious choice. So why are you choosing what you're choosing? Kind of check in with that. Is it a wise choice? And it's just Savasana, so it's not like a super big deal. But something that's going to be relaxing and soothing. Something that you're able to be still in, right, is the idea of Shavasana. So 1 minute here. Relaxing shoulders, lengthen out through the spine. Slightly draw the chin towards the chest. Find a really comfortable place to relax your arms, your hands. Settle into your breath. Let's take a breath in together through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale the air out. Feel the weight of whatever is in contact with the mat, heavy. Shavasana. So we've come to the end of our time here together today. If you are able to stay with your meditation or your Shavasana for longer, please do. If you need to move on, awaken through fingertips and toes. You can move your head side to side. You might breathe into the length of the body. If you're on your back, you can roll off to a side, fetal position. And then gently make your way off to a side, pressing into the hands and into your upright seated position. I'll just take a moment here to close our practice together. Maybe join the hands together at the heart, bow the chin to the chest. With reverence and gratitude for our practice, may we remember that we will always be okay. May we find a white light that guides us and keeps us safe. May we have hope. May we have help. And may we have happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis. As always, it's such a pleasure to share this practice with you, to have you join me. I welcome comments, questions, and otherwise,